Hello and greetings. Welcome to today's focus with Yoga on the Road is working through standing poses, and standing poses are a great preparation for other poses. However, before we step in there, I wanted to share with you a realization that I've had recently, and it is that when we allow ourselves to strip things back to their simplest form, it allows us the opportunity to grow exponentially. And I realized this as I kind of reflected on my own movement back to beginnerness and how much my practice has grown from allowing myself to sit in the seat of a beginner. And it's such a wonderful perspective to realize that I don't need to be in a rush to get somewhere to progress. Sometimes just taking things right back to its simplest form is the way that we begin to grow. So thank you for listening. That was my enlightened moment. And let's step now into a couple of standing forms that set up the practice for more complex poses. So I know I've just given you the whole spiel on stepping things back to beginnerness, which is why I wanted to set up a great foundation for you today with two standing poses and to show you where that has the potential to lead. All right, let's warm up our breath first, and then we'll move to warming up our body before we step into our focus poses for today. So wherever you're at, actually before we start the session, you may like to set yourself up with a couple of blocks like this. If you don't have blocks on hand, then a couple of hard-covered books will work. If you'd like a blanket or a cushion or something to set yourself up for the end of practice to allow yourself to integrate where we've just been, then grab yourself a cushion or a blanket. And I think that's all you need. Maybe a do not disturb sign on your door to let people know that this is your time for you right now. So I really like to try and integrate different elements into a yoga session. And the first of that, and one of the very important parts of yoga, is bringing your awareness back to your breath. So I invite you at this point in time to either take a comfortable seat, or if it's more comfortable for you, set down a space where you're reclined or lying down. And then when you find that space that is comfortable for you, you might like to bring one hand to your lower belly and one hand to that space in between where the ribs kind of connect. And then just take a moment to notice how your breath moves naturally in and out of your body. Become familiar with the rise and the fall of your breath, however subtle or big that movement is. Just take some time to notice that breath. This is a practice in and of itself that we really don't take much time in the day to notice or observe. So taking these few moments out now to connect with your breath, to notice how it impacts you on a physical level, to notice the potential that it has to support and soothe your nervous system the more you become familiar with the breath, with the conscious breath, that is. So we're still just watching the natural rise and the natural fall of the breath. You might ask yourself what spaces in your body you can feel your breath fill. You might notice whether the movement of your breath is in the front of your body. Does the breath fill the sides of your body maybe, or even the back of your body? And particularly if you're lying down, this is where you'll notice the breath moving into the back of your body the most potentially. Once you've found and connected with that natural breath, wherever you're at in your breath cycle, allow an exhale, and that's either audibly out through your mouth or through your nose. And then on your next inhale, inhale deep into the lower part of your belly, up into the top of your ribs. Just take that breath to a comfortable position. And then with an exhale, sigh or let that breath out. Feel the breath empty away, pushing out through the lungs, through the nose. Take a deep breath in, feel your lower belly. Feel the belly and the ribs expand. And then as you exhale, release that breath. Take a deep breath in, feel the lower belly. Breathe or sigh out. Take a deep breath in. Allow that breath to support you comfortably, and then breathe or sigh out. Lie here for just a few moments, noticing the effects just of being aware of your breath. And then if you'd like to, before we move into our practice, if you'd like to set an intention for what you hope to get from yourself from this practice or moving forward even, your intentions can be on a physical level, so something that you're striving to work towards physically, flexibility, strength, something that you're working towards mentally, flexibility and strength. They can all relate. They can be goals for on the mat. They can be goals for off the mat as well. Once you set your intention and you feel that it resonates with you in this moment, take a deep breath in. Breathe out with an audible sigh or exhale. And then let's move into warming up our body. So we'll start from the ground to take it up before we bring it back down to the ground again to finish our session. So if you'd like to come to your hands and knees so that your knees are stacked below your hips, your hands are just in front of your shoulder line. This is called tabletop position. With your breath now, so this is another really important element of yoga, is how we learn to combine our breath with movement, and both support one another. So in this tabletop position, take a breath in, and as you breathe in, draw your belly down towards the mat, draw your shoulder blades together and keep the neck soft, look slightly forward. On your exhale, press down into your hands, tuck your tailbone down, press up through the middle of your shoulders and look in towards your navel. Breathe in. Feel the front of the body open to the breath. And then as you breathe out, feel the back of the body move up towards the ceiling as the front of the body moves towards the spine. Breathe in. Feel the breath expand you and open you up to space. And as you breathe out, feel a settling or a grounding back down into yourself. Breathe in, front of your body opens. Breathe out. Move your awareness into the back of your body, noticing any sensations you're aware of. One more together, breathe in, front of your body opens. Breathe out. Feel your awareness move into the back of your body. And then breathe in, return back to center or tabletop position. If you haven't already, tuck your toes under, press down firmly into your hands. We're shifting our body now into the shape of downward facing dog. So pressing evenly into your hands and the balls of your feet. Start to lift your sit bones up towards the ceiling. Press into your hands to shift your chest back towards your thighs. And as it's our first downward dog, remember you've got the access to bent knees. You can straighten your knees. You can make movement through this pose. If you're noticing that your legs are really tight, you can even change the stance of your feet by taking your legs a little wider. And we're not staying here forever, maybe just for 1 or 2 breaths. And then on your next inhale, look forward between your hands. Options here to either walk your feet towards your hands or walk your hands back to meet your feet, so that we're coming into a forward fold. And then breathe in, let your hands slide up your shins, reach out through the crown of your head. This is half forward fold. And then breathe out. Let yourself move into a forward fold, whatever that looks and feels like for you. Press down firmly into your feet, rise all the way up, fingertips reach towards the ceiling, and then breathe out, return the hands to the heart. So that's a half salutation. We're going to move through that with awareness. So we're going to slow it right down to allow ourselves the opportunity to be aware. So take your feet hip distance apart, and you want it so that your toes are slightly pointing in and the heels are slightly out. So the edges of your feet are parallel. And then with an inhale, lift your arms up, reach the fingertips towards the ceiling. This is a full body stretch. And then as you breathe out, we're going to take it super slow. So bring the hands actually out like this, so cactus or goalpost arms, and then just soften the knees slightly. So each time you breathe in, think about your in-breath as allowing you to lengthen your body. And then each out-breath is the opportunity to move into a pose. And you want to move to the point where you first begin to notice sensation and then pause there. Take a breath in, lengthen out of that space where you're aware of sensation. And then as you breathe out, you might find a little more room to move in until you reconnect again with sensation. Keep moving with the breath. Inhale here. Lengthen out of that space that you've just found and become aware of. And then as you exhale, move a little deeper. And a little deeper might mean now that you're starting to really explore forward fold. When you find a space where you're happy to consider how you feel, how you're supported, then just breathe. Find that natural rhythm of your breath again. Press down firmly into the feet. Rise all the way up to full body stretch. Breathe out, hands to heart. Let's move through that twice more together. Inhale, full body stretch. Lift the arms all the way up. If it feels okay for your neck, look up. And then as you exhale, bring your arms back to this cactus position. Soften the knees, still with an out breath. You're shifting forward to that first point where you start to notice sensation. Breathe in, create a lengthening and opening into that space, and then breathe out. Shift a little deeper, and a little deeper might only be a millimetre or so. Keep pressing down through your feet to maintain stability. Breathe in, lengthen. Breathe out, soften. And again, soften could be a deeper exploration of a forward fold. And again here, if you've got those blocks or the books that I suggested earlier, you could even use them to help support or prop you up. 2 breaths here. Breathe in, halfway lift. Hands either sliding up your shins to just below your knees or supported with a block. Breathe out, forward fold. Press down into the feet, rise all the way up, full body stretch. Breathe out, hands to heart. Just take a moment to close down your eyes, to connect with any bodily functions, heartbeat, breath, sensations that your attention is drawn to. And noticing is a big part of yoga as well. All right, let's move into our first of our standing poses. We'll work through 2 today, and I'll show you where they're leading to, and that will obviously be another video down the track. So take your feet wide. And again, you want to think about the shape of the feet. So the toes are pointing in slightly and the heels are pointing out. So the outer edges of your feet are parallel with the short edges of your mat. The first pose we're moving into is triangle pose. So turn your right foot 90 degrees so it's facing forward, and the back foot stays parallel. The outer edge stays parallel to the short edge of the mat. As you inhale, start to shift your knee so it's stacked over your ankle. You don't want it forward of the ankle. The reason for the knee being stacked above the ankle is to keep the knee safe and protected. And then as you inhale, lengthen again. So we're working on our stability first before our mobility. I think I've said that right. So as you inhale, bend the front knee, find that position where the knee is stacked over the ankle, and then push and extend away. Move through that a couple more times. And then inhale, lengthen the arms all the way out. So you're extending from fingertip to fingertip. Now we're thinking of the torso area as separate from the lower part of our limbs at the moment. So I want you to have a feeling of almost disconnecting the torso from the base of you and moving out over your front leg, and then come all the way back. So shifting, almost like you're shifting up out of your hips, moving the upper body out over the front of the leg, and then moving back. Just have a feel for that a couple of times. So shift the upper body out of the hips, lengthen out over the front leg, and then shift the weight back. That's the start, or that's where we'll be moving into triangle pose from. So as you inhale, lengthen up out of the hips, extend or lengthen the side waist out over the front leg, and then lower your right arm to your thigh, to your shin. In some cases, you might even want to lower it to the block, and then lift the left arm up towards the ceiling. This is triangle pose. So as you hold in triangle pose, Bring your awareness first down to your feet, your connection point. This is where our stability comes from. So really connect to the stability in this pose. This is what baby steps are all about. And then from that stability, bring your awareness up the length of your legs. Notice how they're impacted in the pose. Bring your awareness to the hips, your torso, the strength in your arms. And as always, meet yourself where you need to. So if you're noticing at this stage that your legs or your arms are fatiguing, move out of the pose. Always move out of the pose mindfully. So that might look like bending the knee, lifting the body back up, movement, whichever movement you need. And then we'll set ourselves up for the second side. And if you had a block, you can move the block to the other side now. So now the left foot is pointing out at a 90-degree angle. Check that your right foot, the outer edge, is parallel with the short edge of the mat. And then we're just moving so that the knee stacks over the ankle, not beyond, and then lengthens and straightens again. Move through that a couple more times. And then extend the arms out, fingertip to fingertip, reaching long. Remember, we're thinking about the upper body rising up out of the hips and the left side waist leaning out over the left leg. As far as you can comfortably reach, and then shift that weight back. Lift and rise, extend and lengthen. Lift and rise, extend and lengthen. One more together. Let's lift and rise out of the hips. Extend the side waist out over the front leg, and then position your arm again where it's comfortable. So that can connect to your own body, to a block. And then reach up out through the right fingertips. Notice any little fluctuations of movement. Your body is accommodating to maintain balance. Be aware of any sensations that you're drawn to, and remembering that if something feels too much, then have the grace to be able to back out, meet yourself where you most need support. Find your way back to the nature of your breath. Use your breath to support you. To come out of that pose, bend the front knee to support you, lift and rise up out. Parallel the feet. We're moving into our second standing pose now. So again, turn your right foot 90 degrees. We've already added some movement to the front leg, so bend your front knee. Knee again is stacked over your ankle, and this time bring your forearm to your thigh to rest on the thigh. And then using the forearm pressed into the leg, have that feeling of really opening through the chest here. Once you feel that openness, you feel supported, you can stay here. Or the next option is to sweep your arm all the way up. Turn the palm to face towards your head, and then extend that arm all the way over the ear. So you're creating this one long line from the fingertips down through the armpit, the side waist over the hips, and down the leg to the outer edge of your left foot. Find your breath here. Hold here. Inhale, slowly come back up. Extend through the front knee, parallel the feet. Move the shoulders, make any movement that you need to accommodate your body. And then we're taking it to the last side. So turn your left foot now out 90 degrees. Bend so that the knee is stacked over the ankle. Take the forearm to rest on your thigh. Remember, options are to stay here or to extend the top arm up. Turn the palm to face towards your head and then extend the arm all the way over the ear. Again, just let your attention drift to whatever part of your body you're noticing is working. And listen and respond accordingly. If this doesn't feel right for you, slowly come out and honour that you've given it a go. Inhale. Exit the pose as mindfully as you went in. Heel toe or step the feet together. Take a big breath in, full body stretch. Breathe out, hands to heart. Breathe in, full body stretch. Breathe out, hands to heart. Breathe in with a full body stretch. And as you breathe out, soften, fold forward, remembering to move mindfully into this forward fold. Breathe in, halfway lift. Breathe out, step back to downward facing dog. Lower your knees to the ground. Take the knees nice and wide. Bring the big toes together. Settle your hips back towards your heels. And at this stage, you might like to support your forehead by stacking your forearms together. You could let your arms rest down by the sides. Just take a couple of moments here to let your breath be the guide of where you've just moved today. Take another 4 breaths here. The end of your 4th breath. If you have more time up your sleeves today, it's always nice to take just a couple of moments to set up a space where you can lay down, where you can rest consciously to integrate your practice. So if that's you today, find a position that's completely comfortable and allows you the opportunity to rest and absorb all the wonderful things you've done for your body and your mind today. Switch on some music if you need. I thank you from my heart to your hearts for trusting me to guide you on a yoga journey. And please hit subscribe below to see more videos like this and to join me again on the mat. Thank you and namaste. Anita from Yoga on the Road.